Welcome to this new automotive news video for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. Today we're talking about Peugeot. While its engines aren't the most reliable, it has definitely mastered irony. Remember yesterday we talked about Peugeot trying to regain its customers' trust by announcing a new engine to replace the PureTech, which is supposed to be more reliable. And well, it was exactly on that day that Peugeot announced a major new recall due to a reliability issue with its diesel engines. They're not the only ones in this situation, since Renault also announced a major recall on the same day. Again, it's to fix a reliability issue with the risk of engine failure as a result. We'll talk about Audi, which is finally bringing back one of its most legendary models, and DS, which is giving new information about the model that's supposed to save the brand. About Abarth, the sports brand, Fiat, which is going back to combustion engines, and BYD, which will start selling one of its best electric vehicles in Europe as soon as next month, with long range and fast charging as key features. But before that, I'm going to tell you about the latest little pettiness coming from Peugeot and Citroën. Unfortunately, always up to no good, because since the beginning of the week on some of their models, there is no longer a spare tire or a tire repair kit included as standard. That's the standard. You get one or the other. Well, no, now you'll have to pay an extra 20 euros for the option, with Peugeot and Citroën justifying the absence of a spare tire for reasons of weight, fuel consumption, and space. I'm not sure decisions like this will help regain customers' trust. Anyway, let's move on to today's video topic, which I hope will interest you. If that's the case, as usual, please show your support by liking, subscribing for future videos, and clicking the boost button below, and by leaving a comment where you share your thoughts on today's news. And indeed, yesterday, the day when Peugeot chose to announce its new engine that replaces the 1L PureTech, they also announced yet another recall for their diesel engines, the well-known 1.5L Blue HDI, which, fortunately for Peugeot, shouldn't last much longer, since they are expected to eventually be replaced by FCA's diesel engines, the famous multi-jet. So, this time, what's wrong with the 1.5L Blue HDI? It's an injection problem that affects the latest versions of this engine, the DV5 code. Vehicles that were produced in mid-2025 are now affected by an issue with the assembly of the injection rails, which could, due to vibrations, cause the nuts connecting the high-pressure fuel lines to loosen. In the most extreme cases, this could cause a fuel leak, diesel here, in the engine compartment, which could lead to a fire. As usual, there are several signs that can appear. Drivers affected by this problem may notice a check engine light on, difficulty starting, a loss of power, an engine that runs unevenly, or even excessive fuel consumption. These 50,000 vehicles being recalled here are mainly Peugeot 308S DS7S and the latest generation Opel Astra, a recall that will further increase the workload of repair shops, which are already in high demand. With Takata airbags, PureTech issues, and Blue HDI problems, mechanics in the Stellantis network are never bored. What's especially tough and harmful is that this is yet another issue with this engine, and it's yet another problem related to the reliability of Stellantis Group vehicles in recent years. And as I was saying, it's really starting to add up. They're not the only ones in this situation, since today Renault is also announcing a new recall, and it's a major one as well. This concerns 30,000 hybrid vehicles in France, Australia, and 6th-generation S-Base models that were produced between 2022 and 2024. This affects the hybrid versions of the 1-liter TCE engine. This is making headlines again due to the newly identified malfunction. It's a hose that's normally used to evacuate oil vapors, but it's not doing its job properly, and it's letting pressure build up in the engine. This can cause a phenomenon of incomplete combustion, and the unburned fuel could go down to the oil pan and reduce its lubrication potential. In the most serious cases, this could even lead to engine failure. It's the same as usual, and it's actually the same for the Stellantis recall we were just talking about. You can go to the website of the brands in question and check if your vehicle is affected by entering its serial number. Here with Renault, it's an appointment at the dealership that takes about an hour and a half, during which the oil vapor suction hose will be replaced. Renault says the hybrid systems control unit will be updated to improve combustion engine performance. Since we were talking about Stellantis, let's talk about Abarth. It's the sports division of Fiat. Well, now it's a separate brand, but originally it was Fiat's sports division. Abarth has faced quite a few difficulties in recent years, especially because it tried to offer a 100% electric lineup, and customers just didn't follow at all. As a result, Abarth's sales were divided by 20 between 2018 and 2025. That's quite a feat, and just when we almost expected the brand to disappear. At the same time as its combustion cars, Abarth is reportedly about to make its return to the combustion sports car market. They are reportedly working on a sports version of the latest generation Panda, the Grande Panda. There is little technical information that is leaked so far, but the good news is that its platform, which is larger than that of the 500, could provide enough space to support more powerful engines. That was the problem for Abarth, even when Fiat came to its senses and offered 500s with combustion engines, the famous hybrid 500s. Abarth explained that the 500's platform was simply too small to fit anything other than the small Firefly engines, which have no potential in terms of sportiness. Here, the idea is for Abarth to put a larger, more powerful engine in the front of the Grande Panda, and at the rear, an electric motor that will provide a little extra power. It may not be as popular as the 500 Abarth, but it's still better than nothing and within the galaxy. Stellantis, new information about its DS number 7, which replaces the DS7, and may be one of the last cards up Stellantis' sleeve to save DS. Because there too, DS, the sales are not very good. We don't have the 2025 figures yet. We know they won't be very good. But to give you a little idea of DS's decline, in 2024, it sold 40,000 units worldwide, even though it still had 3 or 4 models in its lineup. Whereas from 2011 to 2014, it was 120,000 per year with only the DS3. So now it's really counting a lot on its number 7 to try to make a comeback. The number 7 is an SUV, yes. Another 5-seater SUV that measures 4.66 meters. That's 7 more than the previous version, the DS7. Among the visible changes, the rear side windows have been enlarged by 30%, the panoramic roof by 40%, and the trunk now holds 560 liters. And the rest of the design is still very close to what DS had already done with the DS number 8 with the new look, let's say, a bit more streamlined and angular. On the engine side, there will be the all-new Generation 1.2 PureTech Hybrid, which will produce 145 horsepower, as well as several electric versions. The first one will have a 74 kW battery and offers 543 kilometers of range with 230 horsepower, and 2 versions that will use the well-known 97 kW batteries in 2 different versions. The first will be the performance version, which produces 350 horsepower and has a range of 679 kilometers, and the other, the long-range version, which produces 245 horsepower but offers 740 kilometers of range. However, you should know that if I'm not mistaken, these are the same batteries as the ones found in the 3008 and the long-range 5008. These batteries are manufactured, I believe, at the ACC factory in the north of France, and I think these are the famous batteries that ACC simply can't manage to produce properly. Since more than a third of those made, there are reportedly scrapped because they don't pass quality control. Which means that for a 3008 or a long-range 5008, there's a wait time of a year to a year and a half between ordering and delivery. And in my opinion, the DSC is going to face exactly the same problem. Feel free to let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen. Exactly like with the DS8, which is also affected by this well-known problem. The first prices announced by DS are 64,200 euros, which is really quite high for a car that doesn't even bother to offer real rims. Because yes, what you're seeing here are plastic hubcaps over steel rims. Since we're talking about premium, let's quickly mention Audi, which has confirmed the return of the Audi A2. The A2 is that little thing there, the fully aluminum compact car, which was a real flop at the time, even though it was technically way ahead of its time. Audi has confirmed that the A2 will make its return in the coming years as a compact crossover SUV. It will be based on the MEB platform, which is the platform already used by Volkswagen. ID3, which means it should be quite similar to it in terms of size, but also in terms of features, even though, of course, anything is possible. As for battery progress, the ID3 currently, in its largest versions, has a range of 600 kilometers and 350 for the smaller ones. You can expect about the same for the A2, which will be sold, according to the head of Audi, for around 35,000 euros for the entry-level versions, which, incidentally, will make this Audi one of the most affordable electric models from Audi. And then we'll finish with another piece of news about electric cars. We're going to talk about BYD. That's it. It's confirmed and official. Its Denza Z9 GT will arrive in Europe, and that's relatively soon, since its official European presentation will take place on April 8, 2026 in Paris. Just to remind you, the Denza Z9 GT is one of the best electric cars currently in terms of range and technology. What BYD is offering is pretty impressive. In its high-end versions, it delivers 960 horsepower, and thanks to the Blade 2.0 battery developed by BYD, it claims a range between 800 and 950 kilometers. And thanks to a 1000V architecture, it can handle ultra-fast, charging up to 1,500 kilowatt-hours. And at this charging speed, going from 10 to 70% battery under normal conditions takes just 9 minutes. And in extreme weather conditions, that is minus 30 degrees Celsius, it only takes 8 minutes. The only thing we don't know about this car for now is its price. It's still a car of a certain range. It won't be a car sold for 30,000 euros. What's going to be quite interesting is to compare it to what the Germans and the European premium brands will offer. We know that BMW, in a few days, will announce its i3, for example, which doesn't have much in common with the Denza Z9 GT, which is a GT. But BMW is still one of the most advanced European brands in terms of batteries. In terms of electric cars, the new i3 is supposed to do between 800 and 1,000 kilometers also. Looking forward to seeing the price difference between a premium Chinese electric car and a premium European electric car, which on paper have roughly similar numbers. In the meantime, let's go over today's news. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, as usual, I'm counting on you to show it by leaving a like, subscribing for future videos, and maybe even supporting my channel. By clicking the join button below, I'll see you tomorrow for the next Act 2 Ciao video.